So when you looked at this in the previous video and looked at some of these issues, like where you change some of these values and it goes and maybe changes the types of quotes on you that you then have to go in and fix, you might have been thinking like, that's a little crazy, and you wouldn't be wrong. And so if dealing with some of this is looking a little overboard, well, yeah, you probably don't want to mess with code like this. It's a little crazy. There's a couple things that we can do to make this easier for ourselves. So first off, instead of editing in TextEdit, we could edit in something else. So depending on what software you have installed, you can use other things to edit this too and still look at the code. So if you happen to have Dreamweaver installed, then you could edit it in Dreamweaver, for example. Now, if you have Dreamweaver installed, you probably have Illustrator too, so that kind of defeats the purpose. However, there are some cool things that you can do with SVG editing that you can't do in Illustrator, so there are still some good uses. Now, what this does is this lets you see the code in sort of a different way, and it also color codes it. This might look a little crazy, but once you get used to it, it's actually really helpful, because you can see here that all the shapes are in a certain color, and all of the attribute titles are in a certain color, and then the values of those attributes are in a different color. So it makes it much easier to find issues much faster. In addition, this is used to working with code, and so it's not going to replace your quotes with smart quotes. Now, if you don't have Dreamweaver, and you might not, you could also open this with some other type of code editor, such as like brackets, or something like Notepad++ if you're on the PC, or Text Wrangler, or something like that. I'll get that later. And so here, once again, we can see some of the same features. We can see this color coordination, where it has the shape names in blue, and then it has the attribute names in green, and the values themselves in orange. And this makes it much easier to start to figure out what you're looking at. In addition, if you click on any of these objects, it highlights that whole object in green, so it kind of shows you that this is everything that's defining that circle. What we can also do, though, is I mentioned this comment up here, this comment from Adobe Illustrator. We can use this feature too to help us out. So like, if we know that this first rectangle is our sky, I can go in and I can say that this is the sky, and this code isn't going to do anything because it's a comment. And so I could go in and I could tell it different parts that are different things. Like maybe this is, actually I'm not sure what this is. What is this? Rectangle fill. What did that change? Oh, it's my chimney. My chimney's floating in the middle of the sky now because I moved over. It's alright, so I could put that this is the chimney, and I can start to define what these things are, and that helps too. Now, one other trick that you could find useful, if we open this in Firefox, we can right click on different aspects, and we can also do inspect elements. And what that's going to do is that's going to open this down here. Let's move this up so you can see it. I can actually go in and modify the code right here, and it will automatically change it on the area above. So like 0000FF, and now it's blue, or FF00, and now it's green. Now the issue is I can't save this very easily. It's not as easy as like the other one, but it's a great way to quickly figure out where things are and figure out which values you need to modify, because as soon as you edit it, it changes here instead of having to save and refresh. And so that can be useful too.